I bring the story, you bring the subscription.
I never imagined that one day I would find myself staring at the man I thought I'd marry, wondering if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. It wasn't supposed to be like this. When I chose him, I thought I was making the smartest, safest, most reasonable choice a woman could make. A choice that would protect me from repeating my mother's mistakes, a choice that would ensure my future children grew up with a kind, loving father. And yet, here I was, 3 years into a relationship that looked perfect from the outside but felt hollow and suffocating from within. I can't tell you everything right now. Not yet. But I will tell you this. Someone is going to get hurt. Someone is going to lose everything. And I can't even say that I'm innocent in all of it. Because sometimes respect isn't enough. Sometimes kindness isn't enough. And when passion enters the room, when fire consumes reason, things happen. Things you swore you would never do. But let me go back to the beginning, so maybe you can understand how I ended up here. I was 22 when I started dating Daniel. He was 24 at the time, a good man, stable, sweet, polite. He came from a warm, supportive family. The type of family that cooked dinner together on Sundays, laughed around the table, teased each other with inside jokes. When I first met them, I thought, this is it. This is the kind of family I always dreamed of being part of. My own upbringing was different. My father had been handsome, yes, but he was cruel. My mother loved him blindly, until the day he finally broke her spirit enough that she had no choice but to leave. I was just a child then, but the image of her crying in the kitchen, whispering through swollen lips that she should have chosen differently, stuck with me. So when Daniel appeared, soft eyes, gentle smile, patient manner, I thought, this is what safety looks like. In the beginning, everything seemed fine. He opened doors for me. He texted me good morning and good night. He respected my boundaries. Even when he messed up once or twice, maybe forgetting something important or saying something insensitive, he always apologized sincerely and tried to do better. I told myself that's what mattered. Effort, not perfection. And yet, even in those early days, I felt a strange emptiness that I couldn't name. Do you like him? My best friend Lily asked me one night as we sat on her bed, sipping wine from cheap glasses. I do, I said quickly, too quickly. Of course I do. He's everything I wanted.
Kind.
Respectful. My mom likes him. His family is amazing. He's good. Lily tilted her head at me. That wasn't the question. I asked if you like him. Like, when he touches you, do you feel it? That spark. I looked down at my glass, watching the red liquid swirl. I feel safe, I whispered. Her silence said it all. Safe. That was always the word I used with Daniel. He was my safe harbor, my gentle protector. But safety doesn't always set your heart on fire. And slowly, I started to realize that the fire I thought I didn't need was burning quietly inside me anyway, demanding to be fed. The first year, I ignored it. I told myself attraction was overrated. That real love wasn't about fireworks. It was about steady hands and unwavering support. I respected him so much. He made me laugh. He listened when I cried. He never raised his voice, never scared me. I thought, this is what a good relationship should be. But every time he kissed me, I felt a small pang of disappointment. Every time his hands roamed over me, I forced myself to respond, but inside, I felt numb. By year 2, I couldn't hide from it anymore. We went on a trip together, his family's beach house. Everyone was there. His parents, his younger sister, even his grandparents. It should have been the perfect weekend. But there was a moment, late one evening, when everyone else had gone to bed. We were sitting outside listening to the waves. He leaned in to kiss me, and I let him. And I realized, as his lips pressed against mine, that I felt nothing.
No thrill. No spark.
Just duty. Daniel, I whispered, pulling back. He looked at me with confusion. What's wrong? Nothing. I lied quickly. Just tired. But inside, something cracked. The truth is, he's not unattractive. He's handsome in his own way. Neatly styled hair, warm smile, clean-shaven face. Girls at work sometimes tell me how lucky I am, but when I look at him, I don't feel that ache in my stomach, that pull in my chest. Instead, I feel guilt. Maybe you're just overthinking it, Lily said when I confided in her again. Relationships change. Passion fades. What matters is loyalty, kindness, shared goals. You have all that. I know, I whispered. But what if I'm missing something I'll never get back? Her eyes softened. Do you like someone else? The question lingered between us, sharp and dangerous. At the time, I said no. At the time, it was true. But deep down, I wondered, what if one day I did? And that day came sooner than I expected. It started innocently. A new coworker joined our office, a man named Ryan. Tall, confident, effortlessly charming. He had a laugh that filled the room, a presence that drew people in. When he looked at you, it felt like he was peeling away all your layers, seeing something no one else could. The first time he touched my hand by accident, I felt a jolt of electricity shoot through me. A spark. The very spark I had convinced myself I didn't need. From that moment, everything shifted. I started comparing. Ryan's jokes versus Daniel's quiet humor. Ryan's intense gaze versus Daniel's soft eyes. Ryan's energy versus Daniel's steady calm. I hated myself for it. Daniel was good. Ryan was dangerous. But tell me, how long can you ignore a fire once you've seen the flame? That night, lying in bed next to Daniel, I stared at the ceiling. He was asleep, his hand draped across my waist, breathing evenly. And I thought about how safe I was. Safe and starving. The night after my confession lingered in my mind like a storm that refused to pass. I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, every word I had said to him replaying in my head like a broken tape. Do I even love him? I whispered into the dark, my voice trembling as if someone might hear. The silence answered back, cruel and suffocating. He was asleep beside me, his body sprawled, his breathing deep and unbothered. I envied him for that, for being able to rest while I wrestled with the demons of doubt clawing at my chest. The truth was, I didn't know if love was enough anymore. Not when my skin refused to burn when he touched me. Not when I flinched at his kiss, not out of disgust, but out of emptiness. The next morning, he brewed coffee for me the way he always did, 2 sugars, a dash of milk. Good morning, he said softly, his smile tender, his eyes carrying warmth. I forced a smile back. Morning. And the guilt hit me again. How could I possibly walk away from a man who remembered every little thing about me? A man who chose kindness over pride, patience over anger? But my heart, it was searching for something it couldn't find in him. Later that day, I sat at my desk pretending to work, but in reality, I scrolled through forums, desperate for answers. Is it normal to love someone but not feel attraction? I typed. Page after page of confessions spilled across my screen. Women who stayed, women who left, women who cheated. And that's when the seed of temptation first took root in me. A dangerous thought whispered in my ear. What if you just tried? What if you allowed yourself to feel alive? Even once. I slammed my laptop shut, horrified. But the thought wouldn't leave. Days turned into weeks, and my frustration grew. One evening, as we sat together watching TV, he leaned his head against mine. I was thinking, he said gently, maybe we should plan a little trip. Just you and me. Somewhere quiet. Just to reconnect. My stomach twisted. Reconnect. The words sounded like an impossible task. I nodded, though my heart screamed against it. Yeah, that sounds nice. But inside, I felt trapped. Later that night, after he fell asleep, I found myself mindlessly scrolling through social media. And that's when I saw him, an old acquaintance, someone from college, someone I had barely spoken to back then, but whose smile I remembered, sharp, confident, dangerous. He had sent me a message, just a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I should ignore this, I told myself. But loneliness has a way of silencing logic. I've been okay. How about you? I typed back. That was the beginning of something I swore I would never allow. The conversation started light. Jokes, old memories, harmless banter. But soon, the tone shifted. "You always seemed different back in college," he wrote one night. "Like you were holding back a part of yourself. Ever feel that way?" My breath caught. "Yes," I replied. "All the time." And with that, I began to open up in ways I hadn't with my own boyfriend. He made me feel seen, desired,
Alive.
and I hated myself for how much I craved it. One evening, after another round of lifeless kisses from my boyfriend, I excused myself to the bathroom. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, my phone buzzing in my hand with a new message from him. "You deserve more. You deserve to feel wanted." My pulse raced. Was he right? Or was this just the devil in disguise, dangling temptation before me? When I returned to bed, my boyfriend was already asleep, his arms stretched across the sheets as if reaching for me. I lay down beside him, but my heart wasn't there. It was with the man on the other side of the screen. The conversations grew bolder. Late-night texts turned into calls. Calls turned into video chats, each one peeling away layers of restraint I had tried to hold onto. "Do you ever think about me?" he asked one night, his voice low and dangerous. I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs.
I shouldn't, you whispered.
"But you do," he pressed. Silence was my confession. That was the night he told me he wanted to see me. Every part of me screamed no, but my hands betrayed me as I typed back, "Maybe." And so the countdown began. In the days leading up to our meeting, I lived a double life. To my boyfriend, I was the same, sweet, respectful, supportive. But behind closed doors, I was someone else entirely. A woman consumed by desire. A woman about to betray the very man who had given me nothing but loyalty. One evening, while we were eating dinner together, he reached across the table and held my hand. "You've been quiet lately," he said, concern etched across his face. "Is something wrong?" I forced a smile. "Just tired. Work, you know?" He squeezed my hand gently. "You can always talk to me. You know that, right?" The kindness in his eyes nearly broke me.
But still I said nothing.
The day finally came. I told my boyfriend I was meeting a friend from work. He kissed my forehead before I left. "Have fun. Be safe." And then I walked straight into the arms of another man. The first moment our eyes met, I felt something ignite inside me. He smiled, and it was everything my relationship had been missing: fire, danger, passion. We talked, we laughed, and then, when words weren't enough, he leaned in. His lips met mine, and for the first time in years, I felt alive. The guilt came later, but in that moment, I didn't care. All I cared about was the rush of blood in my veins, the pounding of my heart, the undeniable truth that I wanted this. I had crossed the line. When I returned home that night, my boyfriend was waiting for me on the couch. He looked up, his smile tired but warm. "Hey, how was it?" I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. "It was good. Just a long day." He nodded, pulling me into his arms. And as I rested my head against his chest, I wondered how long I could keep living this lie. How long before everything came crashing down. Because deep inside, I knew secrets never stay hidden forever. And when the truth finally surfaced, it would destroy us both. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to him, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had just confessed too much to my friend earlier, or if I was secretly preparing myself for the inevitable collapse of this relationship. He shifted in his sleep, mumbling something incoherent, his arm brushing against me. I flinched, not because I didn't want him close, but because my body just didn't respond the way I wished it would. The guilt ate at me. In the morning, he looked so peaceful, hair messy, smile soft as he whispered, "Good morning, beautiful." And I forced myself to smile back. But inside, a storm was raging. "Do you want breakfast?" he asked, already sliding out of bed, eager to make the day good for me. How could I resent a man who tried this hard? How could I even dare to imagine walking away from him? I thought about my mother, about how she used to whisper that kindness was rare, that love was fragile, that a good man was worth more than any fleeting attraction. Maybe she was right. But then why did my heart feel so empty? That evening, while he was out with friends, I scrolled through my phone, desperate for answers. I ended up on a Reddit thread. Is it wrong to leave a good man if you're not attracted to him? The comments were brutal. Some said, looks fade, kindness lasts forever. Don't be stupid. Others wrote, you'll destroy yourself living without passion. Don't chain yourself to someone you don't want. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. Am I selfish? I whispered to the empty apartment. The silence gave me no answer. When he came home, he kissed my forehead, smelling faintly of beer and laughter. You should have come with us, he said. I nodded, pretending to regret not going, but truthfully, I was relieved I hadn't. The more I pulled away, the more he leaned in. The more distant I felt, the more he tried to close the gap. It was suffocating, and yet I didn't want him to stop. One night, we had friends over. Couples, laughter, wine. The kind of easy gathering that makes you feel like life is simple. I watched one of my friends sit on her boyfriend's lap. Their eyes locked with a spark that practically lit up the room. My chest ached. I glanced at my boyfriend. He was laughing at a story someone told, his arm casually draped across the back of my chair. He looked at me and smiled. I smiled back, but there was no spark. Later, as we cleaned up, he said, that was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, I replied. Someday that'll be us.
Married.
Maybe kids running around. A house full of laughter. He said it with such certainty that for a moment, I almost believed it. But then the image twisted in my head. A house full of laughter. A marriage built on respect. And me, still empty inside. Weeks turned into months. I started avoiding intimacy. Little excuses at first. Headaches, stress, being tired. He never pressured me. He always just said, okay, rest. I love you. And that made it worse, because he deserved better than my lies. One evening, as we sat on the couch, he reached for my hand. Babe, he said softly, are you happy with me? The question hit me like a knife. I froze. He was looking at me with those gentle eyes, the kind that begged for honesty, but feared it too. Yes, I whispered, and I hated myself for it. A few days later, I met up with a coworker for coffee. He was tall, charming, the kind of man who drew attention without even trying. When he laughed, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, a spark. It terrified me. He leaned closer during our conversation, his hand brushing mine briefly, and my heart raced. I pulled back instantly, guilt washing over me like ice. But that moment haunted me. It reminded me of everything I was missing. That night, I cried in the shower. I cried because I knew what my body wanted. I cried because I also knew what my heart feared. Losing him would mean losing stability, kindness, safety. But staying meant slowly killing my own desire. The cracks deepened after that. I began noticing every little thing he did that annoyed me. His laugh that once felt warm now grated on my nerves. His touch, once comforting, now felt heavy. I hated myself for feeling this way, but I couldn't stop. One night, I blurted it out. We need to talk. He looked up from his book, concern instantly shadowing his face. What's wrong? I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I don't know if I'm in love with you the way I should be. His face went pale. What do you mean? I couldn't look at him. I respect you. I care about you, but I don't feel that spark. Not the way I think I should. Silence. He stared at me, eyes wide, as if I had just shattered his world. You don't find me attractive? He asked quietly. Tears blurred my vision. It's not that. You're handsome. You're good. You're everything I should want. But my heart, I choked on the words. My heart feels empty. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, so what are you saying? You want to leave? The silence between us was unbearable. I don't know, I whispered, and that was the truth. The following days were chaos. He withdrew into himself. barely speaking, barely looking at me. I hated seeing him hurt. I hated being the cause of it. But I also felt an odd sense of relief, like I had finally spoken a truth that had been strangling me for years. One night, he finally broke the silence. "If you want to go," he said quietly, "I won't stop you." The words cut deeper than any fight we'd ever had. Because for the first time, I realized leaving him would mean losing the safest love I'd ever known. And yet, staying might mean losing myself. I sat there, staring at him, torn apart by the impossible choice. Do I choose safety or passion? Do I stay with the man who would never hurt me? Or do I risk everything for a chance at the love I secretly craved? The answer didn't come that night, but I knew one way or another, the decision was coming. The days that followed felt like walking through fog. Everywhere I turned, I was confronted with the weight of my choice. The apartment felt smaller, suffocating even. His silence lingered in every corner, like a ghost haunting me. He wasn't cruel. He didn't lash out. That almost made it worse. Instead, he carried himself with a quiet sadness that cut deeper than any argument ever could. He still cooked for me, still folded my laundry, still kissed my forehead before bed, even though I barely kissed him back. Each act of kindness was a dagger in my chest. I found myself questioning everything. Was attraction supposed to fade? Was love meant to be a choice instead of a feeling? Could I force myself into passion the way people force themselves into habits, like exercise or healthy eating? But every time I tried to picture our future, my chest tightened. I didn't see us traveling the world hand in hand or sharing breathless kisses on stormy nights. I saw routine, predictability, safety, and emptiness. One evening, my best friend called. "Are you okay?" she asked immediately, her voice laced with concern. "No," I admitted. I told her everything. My guilt, my confusion, the unbearable silence between us. "You can't stay out of guilt," she said firmly. "He deserves someone who wants him fully, and you deserve to feel alive." Her words echoed in my head long after the call ended, but the idea of breaking his heart still felt impossible. That night, I dreamt of the coworker who had made me feel that spark. In the dream, his hand brushed mine again, and I felt fire race through my veins. I woke up sweating, guilty, and shaken, because it wasn't about him, it was about what he represented. Passion. Something I craved but didn't have. The next morning, as I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my untouched coffee, he finally spoke. "I need to know," he said quietly. I looked up, my stomach twisting. "Do you love me?" The question hung in the air like a guillotine. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. He nodded slowly, as if my silence was the only answer he needed. "Do you know what the hardest part is?" he said after a long pause. I shook my head, tears already welling in my eyes. "It's not that you don't love me the way I love you. It's that you stayed, pretending. I would have rather heard the truth sooner than watch you disappear piece by piece." I broke then, sobs ripping out of me. "I didn't want to hurt you," I cried. He gave a sad smile. "But you did anyway." The days turned colder after that. Not because we fought, but because we both knew the end was near. He stopped kissing me goodnight. I stopped waiting for him to reach for me. It was as if we had silently agreed to mourn the relationship before it even officially ended. Finally, one Saturday morning, I packed a bag. My hands shook as I folded clothes, tears dripping onto the fabric. He walked in and watched silently. "You're leaving," he said. Not a question, just a fact. I nodded, unable to speak. He walked over and picked up a shirt from the pile, folding it carefully before placing it into the suitcase. "Let me help," he whispered. That broke me all over again. We sat together on the couch afterward, the packed bag at my feet. "I don't hate you," he said softly. I looked at him, shocked through the blur of my tears. "I could never hate you. You gave me years of your life. You tried. That means something." I covered my face with my hands, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't deserve your kindness." He placed a hand on mine, steady and warm. "Maybe not, but I'll give it anyway." The cab ride to my friend's apartment felt surreal. Every building we passed blurred through the tears in my eyes. My phone buzzed with a message from him. It was simple. "I hope you find what you're looking for." I clutched the phone to my chest and cried silently until the cab stopped. The first weeks without him were brutal. I missed him in ways I hadn't expected. The little things, the way he hummed while cooking, the way he made sure my car had gas, the way he squeezed my hand when crossing the street. I missed the safety, but not the spark. And that truth only deepened my guilt. Months passed. I went on dates, met new people, even felt flickers of passion again. Some ended quickly, some left scars, some gave me hope. But I realized something important. Passion alone wasn't enough either. What I had with him was rare, even if it wasn't everything I wanted. And I would always carry both gratitude and regret for what we shared. One evening, I ran into him at the grocery store. He looked different, lighter somehow, as if he'd shed the weight of us. "Hey," he said with a small smile. "Hey," I echoed, my heart pounding. We stood there, awkwardly surrounded by aisles of cereal and canned soup. Finally, he said, "I'm seeing someone." The words hit me like a punch, but then I saw the light in his eyes, the spark I had never given him. And for the first time, I felt peace. "Good," I whispered, meaning it. "You deserve that." He smiled, genuinely. "So do you." And with that, we parted. Walking out of the store, I realized something. Maybe love isn't about finding someone who checks every box. Maybe it's about timing, about growth, about honesty. He was the right person in so many ways, but not the right person for me. And that didn't make either of us villains. It just made us human. That night, I sat on my balcony, staring at the city lights, letting the cool air wash over me. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free to chase passion. Free to risk heartbreak. Free to finally be honest with him, with others, and with myself.